Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I'm hoping you will recognise me from PTCGRadio. As I said on the podcast recently, I'm expanding this with our first anniversary, and I'm going to do some videos. What I'm showing you today is my Landorus Cobalion and Terrakion deck I played at Nationals. Now, I'm playing against my good friend Nick Pierce, who I'm fairly sure is playing some kind of Weavile deck, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit playing this deck to troll him. I'm hoping he'll forgive me. He thinks I'm playing a different kind of deck, so sorry there, Nick. So what I'm going to be showing you today is a deck I played for Nationals. It's got Landorus, it's got Cobalion, etc. Nick's lost the flip there, and quite frankly that's good for me, because it means I can get a fighting energy on my Landorus right away. Now, I've played Nick a couple of times. I did donk him with a Mono Rayquaza deck, which was amazing. And I should put that video up, although it's only a minute long. So I get Hammerhead turn 1, and all of a sudden that Absol, I can't imagine he's that happy. Now, strangely, one of the weird things about this deck is that it's very, very vulnerable to N. So he's playing a deck with Absol, with Weavile, etc., and if I start taking too many prizes too quickly, one of the things I am going to be risking here is that he might end me down, and all of a sudden I've not got a huge amount of cards in my hand, and I've got a lot of cards left in my deck, and that's when I start whiffing supporters quite badly. Now, what Nick's actually done there is he has kind of allowed me to get out of that poison myself, because he's gone and captured up my Cobalion, and that means that the poison's basically been ruined. Now, I've got a choice to make here. I play 4 switches in this deck, but if you look at my supporters now, I've got a Skylar which will get the switch, but it's not doing me a huge amount of anything. The Chorus which I can't really play, or the Juniper. So I'm going to play the Juniper, I'm going to thin my deck out a little bit, and I'm lucky that I drew that switch. But of course, I just used 3 supporters, and it's not a great position to be in. But I use a Hammerhead, I keep the early pressure going, I've probably got a 2-prize turn next turn, and if he ends me, I'm still drawing 6. But what I need to be worrying about here is, so like I say, he ends me there and I draw the 6, and that's absolutely fine. But again, I've used 7 cards, I've got 4 supporters out of my 14, well 15 if you include Dow's Machine, already in my discard pile there. So this is already starting to look not great. And he's playing the kind of deck where, if I'm not careful, he can start knocking out EXs very, very fast indeed. Which is why I don't want to commit too much energy to this Landorus, and why what I really want to be doing is getting down Terrakion. Because if I can get Terrakion and regular Cobalion going, I'm just going to be running through all of his Pokemon here, and it's going to be lovely. But if I can at least just wake up here and not die, then it's not the end of the world. I'm going to be getting something going here. Now, I've got my EXP share down. This is a deck that probably isn't going to be playing Tool Scrapper. So I just need to make sure I don't die from poison. So again, I wake up there. I'm taking poison damage. Poison damage is bad. However, it's not the end of the world here, because he's got 60 damage left. So I can start getting something working here. So I'm going to choose not to play my laser here, because I don't need the extra damage, and I'm not going to play my escape rope, which might turn out to be a bad thing. Now, I end him when he's got 1 card in hand. I'm clearly not paying enough attention here, which is pretty bad. But never mind. I've got my Dowser Machine next turn, and I'm going to take 2 prizes, and I believe I'm playing Max Potion in this deck. So, I can get my 2 prizes here. I've not got a lot going on. I've ended him into a new hand, which is bad, but I'm going to get 2 prizes, and those 2 prizes are going to help to set me up. But again, here I'm already starting to look vulnerable to N. I can't probably afford to play that Juniper next turn, and again, if you look at my discard pile, there's not a lot in it. Sooner or later, he's going to start ending me, and then I'm going to be in quite a bit of trouble. The good news is, if I can keep my Landorus alive for a couple of turns, I'm going to be one-hitting his Sneasel. Now, Mr. Mime, I've been talking about him on the podcast for a little while now. This Mr. Mime is bad news for me, because I can't be setting up those multiple prize turns. So I really, really need to start getting my non-EX attackers going. So I'm going to want my experience shares coming in, and I'm going to want to try to avoid being end. Now, actually, capturing up that has done me a favour there, because he's not aware that I've got my escape rope in hand. So that's going to work. The problem is, of course, if I play the escape rope, he's probably going to stick his Mr. Mime up. And one of the most annoying things about Mr. Mime, he has 70 HP. So, if I hit him for 30 with my laser, it's not actually going to kill him. So what do? Do I risk putting a third energy on Landorus? Now, he's already got 110, he might be killed next turn. Or do I try and build something else up instead? So, play the escape rep there. He's almost certainly going to put that Mr. Mime up. Because I can get the KO here, I'm going to risk it. Now, I've really got a bit too much energy on the Landorus here now. Because I'm already 2 prizes up, I am going to bench that second Landorus. I am going to win. Now, here I'm putting myself in a potentially bad position. I've actually drawn basically the perfect hand off this, which is fantastic. What's also really good here, he might assume that I've drawn a bad hand and then not end me again. Or he might not have the end. Right now I've got a Colress which I can use for at least 6. I've got the dowsing machine which I can use to get basically whatever I want out of my discard. And I've got actually not very much in there. I've got a catcher but no laser. But I've got a switch, etc. But what I have got is a Landorus up there who's not looking great. I've got 110 HP left, which means that he's going to be able to one-hit me by discarding 4 Pokemon, or by discarding 3 Pokemon and a laser, because he's got that Weavile attack that does 30 times the amount of damage. 30 damage times the amount of Pokemon you're discarding. And of course, he's got Execute in his discard. The Executes come back into his hand, and actually now, one mistake I have made, you can tell I'm recording this at about midnight, it's not going great. I've benched 3 EXs. Benching 3 EXs is a really, really bad thing to do against a non-EX deck. Now, I am 3 prizes up, that might save me here. Now, ideally, what Nick wants to do here is discard 2 Pokemon. Or 3 Pokemon. 3 Pokemon. If he discards 3 Pokemon, that's going to put me at 160. I'll die from poison. I won't get my EXP share. The question is he going to spot that? I'm kind of hoping he doesn't, to be honest, because if he does do that, it's going to put me in a bad position. I don't have any energy on the Landorus. What I really need here is a fighting energy and a laser. So I can one-hit KO the Weavile and start spending some damage around. And there's a mistake from me already. So, I didn't realise what it was asking me there. So let's very quickly switch up to the Landorus. I've screwed myself by benching too many EXs. So the question is there anything here that I actually really want? What I really want is an energy search or a fighting energy. So I'm at that stage in the game where I've done bad, and all I really want to do now is dig as deep into my deck as I possibly can. So I'm going to have to, as a t-shirt says, risk it on a biscuit. I'm going to have to Juniper here. It might not look like the best idea, but it's paid off handsomely. I've got that fighting energy, I've got the laser, not that the flip really matters here, And here I'm going to be able to hammerhead for the KO and put 30 on the Sneasel. Now he's got that Absol out, but the good thing about that Absol is that Absol's not really doing much. Now arguably here, because I haven't used many lasers, what I should have been doing is in fact spreading that damage to the Absol so that with the help of a laser I could one-hit the Absol next turn. Because with the laser I'm one-hitting the Weavile anyway. Had I spread 30 to the Absol, I could then have killed it with a laser. As it is, that Absol's now not going down unless I can find my energy switch or a Skylar. And that's pretty much my hope right now. Having said that, my hand's actually, although it's supporterless, it's pretty good. I can pop down a Terrakion with an energy, I can capture and kill that Weavile or Sneasel regardless of what it stays as, and then I only need one more prize for the win. And I'm probably going to get that prize before he can kill a Landorus and the Cobalion, or a Landorus and something else. So at this stage in the game, I'm looking to be okay. It's not looking great, I can still lose from here, but with the catcher to get the prize off the Weavile next turn, and there goes the life dew. And there goes basically my entire plan. Because I don't play Tool Scrapper in this deck. Now that's giving him the time he needs to potentially start mounting a bit of a comeback, which sucks. Because actually, what I need to do here is start benching Pokemon, and we all know that's how things go wrong. But the big threat here is very much still from that Sneasel, and the damage I do to that Absol, I'm probably going to hit a laser, so it doesn't really matter what I do. So I can afford to end myself to 2 because my hand is now garbage, and I don't hit much, but it's probably worth it. So I am going to take some poison damage here. That Absol, I am going to die, but you never know, it might work out alright. Yeah. Now I'm starting to think now I probably played this pretty badly, because I don't know how I'm going to do 70 damage to that Absol next turn, unless I can get a Metal Energy onto my regular Cobalion. I'm going to need an energy and a laser to hit with a Terrakion. And here you see the big weakness of this deck. And this was the thing I could never really fathom. If we start looking through, we'll count the Dow's Machine as a supporter. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 supporters there. And I've still got a lot of cards left in my deck. There's 5 supporters, but you can already see here, and I lost so many games like this. Now, sometimes this deck does draw dead, but to be honest, the biggest problem I have with this deck is that I can't get through the deck fast enough. I've got a lot of tricks, I've got a lot of funky things this deck can do, but to be honest, what it really comes down to here is I'm not drawing through the deck fast enough. When you think of something like a Rails deck, you're using all of the Pokemon, you're using the balls, and you end up running through your deck nice and quickly. This deck doesn't really do that, and that's a bit of a problem. Now the good news is, although I've played it pretty badly, Nick has to deck himself out. So I am going to end up winning this game, but as you've seen, I don't really deserve to win this game. Now luckily he takes the win from there, but again, I've got a load of rubbishy energy there. What am I going to top deck? I'm going to top deck a laser, which doesn't really do me any good. But the good news is I can just end my turn, and I'm going to win the match because he decks out. Not a match I particularly deserve to win. I played it pretty badly, but hopefully, if nothing else, what you got to see there was my Nationals deck and how it actually worked. It's very, very good against Darkrai decks. It's very, very good against Plasma decks. But you can see some of the inherent problems there. I still don't think I made a mistake taking that deck to Nationals. Although I played the wrong matchups, you can already see there it was a deck which relied on a lot of things which to an extent were out of my control. Anyway, I hope you got to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed watching that. I'm going to be putting up as many videos as I have time to do, can be bothered to do, that I think you'll want to watch. This one's going up because it was a moderately interesting deck. that Nick played, and I wanted to show you my Nationals deck. So, thank you very much for watching. If you like this YouTube video, comment below. Tell me what you want to see. Tell me what you want me to do for this YouTube channel, and I'll oblige. This is still a channel which is designed to enhance the podcast rather than be a standalone channel. But anything you want, if there's a deck you want to see, just chuck it down in the comments. I love hearing from you. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, my name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio, which is a little bit strange.